See the lag spike? This is what I'm going to be talking about today. Hey everyone, I'm Valken. I know I've recently made a video about VR and talked a lot about VR chat, talked a lot about VR in general. And well, I want to make another video about it because some things have came up recently that I not just think that I really want to talk about. Because it's been affecting me on a daily basis. And this is going to be a rant, by the way. There's going to be some facts in there. There's going to be some of my own personal opinion. So, just like strap down and get a drink, something. Because I'm upset. I know in the last video, I talked about how VR is a good experience that I believe everybody should go through. And I do not change that stance. I think it is a wonderful fucking thing. It does so much and it can do so much, not just for gaming, right? But for research. It advances technology beyond a point that we thought we could do even just 12 years ago. There's a lot of good to come out of the technology. But holy fucking Christ. VR software is not where it should be right now. VR is not where it should be right now. I made a mistake. I had a lot of money to blow on a VR headset. I had the choice between the Valve Index, which I don't need to introduce. Everybody who does VR knows what a Valve Index is at this point. Or a Reverb G2 Omnicept, which is equivalent price. It's $1,000 versus $1,200. The G2 being $1,200. It's made by Steam as well. The G2 Omnicept, right? They helped engineer it. They put the speakers on it. They designed the product, and they helped put the technology inside of the product. And that's where my mistake was. I bought the G2 Omnicept. $1,200. I want you to keep that in mind. $1,200 headset, flagship. I got it. Set up Windows Mixed Reality, which I should have taken that as a red flag. When I tried to set it up, I couldn't use it. And not because of the hardware. The hardware was fine. The headset itself is great. It has face tracking, eye tracking, heart rate monitoring. All of that is wonderful. It works flawlessly when it works. My issue here is with Windows Mixed Reality. Because of a free piece of software, I can no longer use a $1,200 piece of hardware. Something that comes built into your operating system. Think about that. Microsoft is a big company. They are huge. They are the second largest, I believe, among the top 5 largest tech companies on Earth. And they can't even get it right. They can't get the basic function of a usable headset right for a product they designed the software for. And it's not like you can't say, oh, well, it's just a headset that runs on Windows Mixed Reality, right? The G2 Omnicept is the only headset. No, the G2 series are the only headsets that run mixed reality anymore. They're the only ones you can buy anymore that are still relevant. When you go to the mixed reality website, there it is on the front page, Reverb G2. The G2 Omnicept is an enterprise version of the G2. It is the one that businesses buy, and users can buy it too. That's what I did. And with that, you get all the tracking that you would ever want. Sometimes. It doesn't work. Mixed reality does not work. It is a cool concept. And for the moments that I do actually get to run my headset in it, it is wonderful. I love that headset. But I just can't use it because the software is bad. The software isn't up to spec to run anything. To give an example, I opened up Windows Mixed Reality. I tried to run it through Steam VR, which I'll get to that later in this rant as well. And I'll also get to Facebook in this rant as well. But even HTC. But for right now, I just want to focus on Windows Mixed Reality. When I tried to go and integrate it into Steam VR, because Steam VR has an application dedicated for mixed reality headsets, literally called Steam VR for Windows Mixed Reality. When I open it up, and the first thing that happens is that I crash, that's not a good sign. When I repeatedly go in and do different things, replace the batteries in my headset, unplug, plug back in my headset, change settings, update or downdate, whatever it's called, to the last known good version of mixed reality for Steam VR, and it still doesn't work after 3 days of just trying to get the headset to run? What does that mean? Windows. I'm speaking directly to you. I know nobody's going to care, right? In Windows. Nobody's going to watch this, and nobody's going to react because Windows Mixed Reality is dead at this point. I wish it wasn't. But when someone purchases a product that has your name plastered all over it, and that product costs as much as a down payment on a car, you want to get that product to work. You are responsible for making sure the hardware is running in your software because you developed the software. And the hardware's already good. The hardware's already fantastic. HP and Valve have done their part to make sure that works. And you can't get the software right. You can't get the runtime environment to work. You are a multi-$100 billion company. And when you cannot develop a runtime environment properly, that is an issue. And I can understand it. I can understand that it wouldn't be their priority because mixed reality has been overshadowed a lot. Okay. And it's just going to waste them money. But you also can't sit dumb when there are people still using your product and you are still selling products that work with your software and will only work with your software. That is something that needs to be taken care of. If you have a small team of even 3 people to try and get that software to work right, that is better than lying still and not giving out anything since, what was it, 2-3 years ago? Why? Why is that? And now I'm just sitting here with a $1,200 paperweight. At least until the software can get to good working good. Other companies aren't out of this either. No VR software that is good exists. Not right now. Let me talk about HP, or not HP. Let me talk about Valve. Steam VR. You've heard of it. It is a part of Steam, and it is a very big part of Steam now. It's huge. You've been developing this for a long time. Steam has been developing Steam VR for a long time. For the most part, it's good. Okay. I'm not going to discredit it. Steam VR works very well when integrating with other software as well, especially when trying to integrate with other software. They try, albeit it's not the best attempts at points, as you have heard me rant about already. But it's not still without its flaws. Steam VR is very imperfect, particularly with their desktop and home environment. It is bad. It will crash my games sometimes, just opening up the Steam VR menu. There has been times where Steam Tours, which is the home environment of Steam VR, has taken up 90% of my graphics card. Mind you, I know I didn't have the RTX 3070 at the time, but it should not take 90% of somebody's graphics resources to run a home environment. That's not how that works. It's not going to take that much for a simple, just to render this. It is legitimately the graphics in this game. It is legitimately the code, the base code, for a headset and for a runtime environment. That's a little bit of a rabbit trail. Another issue with Steam VR is that it's just it's lacking. It's incredibly lacking. Even compared to Oculus, right? Multi-monitors, forget about that. You don't have multiple monitors. You can't view multiple monitors at the same time, at least not easily. You don't have a keyboard, a virtual keyboard with a control key. In fact, the virtual keyboard on Steam is legitimately the equivalent of a 10 keyless with all of the extra buttons removed, except for the Shift and Enter key. And that's it. You get your numbers, you get your letters, you get Shift, and you get Enter. And that's all you get with the keyboard. And as somebody who uses the desktop environment a lot, especially in games, to run my computer so I don't have to take my headset off, that gets incredibly distracting, and it gets incredibly frustrating as an end user. Right. Steam VR integrations are fine for the most part. It works. You know? But it's still lacking. After all this time, you can't even put a keyboard in that has a control key. What the fuck? And, Facebook. Let's talk about that. Oculus is another huge company, just like Microsoft, just like Valve. Facebook is another multi-billion-dollar company, and they can't get the software right. They can't get it right. Just the other day, I was trying to update my headset. It said, you need to sign in to your headset, to your account, so you can update the headset. Or no. It was the other way around. It told me to sign into the headset, which, first of all, requiring someone to sign in to a social media account, and I don't give a shit if Meta is not supposed to be a social media account, okay? You're calling it the whatever the fuck it's called. The metaverse, right? Just that in itself implies that it is a social fucking situation. Whenever something is a verse, and I'm not talking about in sexual context, right? Whenever something says verse, universe, metaverse, that means that there is more than one person. Requiring someone to sign into a social media account so that they can use their shiny new $300 hardware is bullshit. And there is no workaround for it. Even if you want to connect it to your computer, which I will also get into that, you have to sign in. But whatever, okay? You know what? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's for licensing reasons or, validity reasons. Make sure you're not a robot. I know that's not the case, but let's pretend like it is. I went in to update the software because it told me I needed to sign in. To sign in, I needed to update my headset. Weird. Those two things are mutually exclusive from each other. I know, as somebody who has a lot of fucking responsibility on product engineering and design, who has that as a major part of my job title, and I get paid really well. It's how I can afford so easily the $1,200 headset that I got. As somebody who works in that field, I know as a matter of fact that you do not need to update shit if you want to sign into something. Right? Especially when it's a social media account. Why would you need to update your hardware? To log in to an account? What the fuck? I say, okay, that's weird. That kind of ticks me off, but I'll try and update it. So I go into the settings, find where I can update my headset. I click update, and then I get a third pop-up. Your headset must be at least 50% charged to update. I'm sorry, what? Okay. I can understand why you would want a charged battery to update a device. I completely get that. You don't want that software getting corrupted in the middle of updating and then just break the headset. There's issues with this. Why is it 50%? And not only that, Why did you require me to try and sign into the account? Tell me I need to update the software, and then tell me that my headset needs to be at least 50% charged in order to use the headset, to update it. And not only that, my headset was plugged into the computer via a USB 3.1 Type-C cable, supplying more than enough power. Should be more than enough power. We all know how that goes. To charge the headset. Sure, it was at 34%. It did not have 50% battery, but it was plugged into a constant source of power. The headset would have lasted 10 more hours. But because it wanted 50% battery, I couldn't do anything. I legitimately just had to leave. I had to get off the headset because I couldn't use it anymore. Not even for desktop. Why? Why force me to update when I want to sign into the headset? Why force me to sign into the headset and then tell me that I need to do an update that requires 50% battery on my headset, regardless of if it is plugged in or not, with a constant source of power, whether it is charging or not? That in itself should be enough to say, hey, okay, they're not going to run out of power by the time we update. What is this? Phones get it right. Your computer gets it right. Why is this special? Sure, it's a VR headset, but it's still a cell phone. That's what VR headsets have been, just modified cell phones up until this point. And then comes in my next issue with Oculus, with Facebook. I'm not calling it Meta. Sorry. You don't deserve the right to be called something that you want to be called. You haven't earned that yet. Let me not get vindicative, because this is still just me talking about my experience with VR. When I plug my headset into my over $2,000 computer at this point, I have spent more money than 95% of the American fucking population on their computer just so I can run this. It is not cheap. I have an RTX 3070 in there. I have a fucking Ryzen 5 3600X, right? I know, I bought the XQ. It's still a good CPU. I spent a lot of money getting nice components, nice RAM, a good motherboard, a good power supply, a really good power supply. I spent that, and I want to run my headset natively, as if it's a PC VR headset. And even through that, because Facebook wants to do it differently, I still do not get the experience of owning a PC VR headset, despite allowing me to connect my headset to a PC. I still don't have a PC VR headset, despite it's a headset running on a computer that costs more than my car. And it works pretty good. Oculus Link, that's convenient. AirLink especially is wonderful. You don't need a cable to connect to your computer. It'll just do it over Wi-Fi. Brilliant idea. That should be everywhere in VR, especially with PC VR. To not have wires. Sure, the batteries can suck ass, but we've been dealing with batteries for years now. It is a 40-year-old concept of a battery. Far more than that. Actually, a battery is a multi-thousand-year-old concept. Okay. It still looks like a mobile VR headset, right? When I plug it into my computer, I still get artifacting, as if there is compression going on from the computer to my headset on a wired connection. I'm only streaming up to 4K, 60 FPS. Why is it that a USB 3.1 cable is unable to support the data transfer? It doesn't even need to send video. It doesn't need to send audio. All it needs to do is send bits and bytes to my headset. Why is it that that still is unable to properly send the video? Why can I not get a PC VR experience with that? You know, when I'm running around, I don't want to make it look, I don't want to look through 480p when I have a graphics card that can natively run 4K. When I'm trying to play Half-Life Alyx, when I'm trying to play Beat Saber, and it looks like a fresh pile of shit. It's not the hardware. The hardware's fine. The computer's doing the information, right? It's doing all the processing. It's sending that data over the wire, which works fine, to my headset. And the headset is taking that, decoding it, and sending it to my eyeballs. It's the software. Because they can't figure out how to send lossless data over a solid connection. Something that we've had figured out since data transfer was a thing. It's like a 20-year-old concept. If that's putting it lightly. Probably older than that. We've had this figured out. So why don't we have it figured out for VR? HTC. What are you doing? Why? What is HTC doing with their product other than destroying it? S-Ranipal. We all know it. Some of us use it. That's the environment that most headsets use for face and eye tracking. S-Ranipal. It doesn't work. S-Ranipal will take up 60, 70, 80% of your system resources for face and eye tracking. Why? And why do I need to have a developer account with Vive to get that when Vive doesn't even make most of the headsets that are using the software with Vive? HTC. Sure, they have the Pro Eye and they have the face tracker for the Pro Eye. They don't make them. It's a discontinued product. When you're buying face and eye tracking, you're buying it from Pico, you're buying it from Vario, you're buying it from potentially even Valve. HTC isn't making the hardware. So why do I need to set up an HTC developer account to use software that doesn't even run on an HTC headset? Why? And why does that software, after I make that account, not fucking work? Why will it take up a majority of my system resources and render my computer unusable? It is a hack job of a piece of software. I shouldn't need to downdate to an old piece of software just for it to run. And then you haven't fixed it in the years that it's been out. You've done nothing. Well, actually, you've done something. You shilled NFTs this entire time. You've been selling NFTs. You've been buying into the Facebook metaverse for money. You don't even care about the technology. You just got into the VR for money, and that's it. And now look at where you're at. You're a laughingstock. Nobody takes you seriously anymore. You don't even take yourself seriously. The Vive Cosmos, that I can say was genuinely shit. The hardware was not up to spec. The software you're sending out is not up to spec. You don't even make the hardware that the software runs off of anymore. What the fuck are you doing? Seriously, you have a monopoly on probably one of the coolest aspects of technology for VR, and you're doing fuck all with it. And it does actually kind of make me angry. I'm pretty sure you could tell that by the tone in my voice. And I apologize if that sets any of you off. Allow me to breathe and calm down real quick. Because that's the issue with VR. Big companies. This isn't small companies, right? This isn't, mom and pa's Jack Shack. This isn't some Chinese off-brand. These are giant companies. These are companies like Tencent, Microsoft, Facebook, Valve, HTC, HP. Well, actually, I want to leave HP out of this because they haven't really done anything wrong. They produced a piece of hardware, and the software that they have produced for it works pretty well. But you get the point. Multiple millions and multiple billions of dollars invested into advancing the hardware behind technology, and nobody gives a shit about the software. Nobody gives a shit about what's actually running the headset or the technology behind the headset. They don't care. At least it certainly doesn't feel like it, because I've never had a good experience with using software for VR. It doesn't exist. Good VR software does not exist. Good VR video games are starting to get there. Right? And it's sad because the hardware already is good. I really do believe that all of the people, all of the companies investing millions and billions into advancing the headset and advancing the hardware inside of a headset, I think they should just stop. At least until they can get the software experience all right. And I know it's a big thing to ask for shit like unification, right? Facebook's trying, they're failing. Getting everything to work with everything, that's an impossible goal. I don't want that. But I at least want my headset to run. And I want to have my multi-$1,000 computer be able to run my headset. Not because the hardware is good, but because the software is good. And especially with hardware, what runs that hardware, what piece of code that runs the hardware, is more important than the hardware itself. This has been proven time and time and time again. You can make something that traditionally runs like shit, make it brand new again, years later. Because you can't change a CPU, you can't change a computer screen, not without a tremendous amount of effort. You can make it run better. You can update, right? You can optimize in software, because that can change. You can update that always. It's just a piece of code. People get paid good money to write pieces of code. Why isn't that happening for VR? I don't know. Okay. And that's my thing. I'm pretty sure nobody knows why. Yeah, cool. 5K tracking, 120 degrees field of view. You got fucking almost 360 5K tracking, 5K resolution. You have almost complete tracking around your entire body. Base station, you have full body, right? All of that's well and good. But don't make that a thing until you can support the thing. If that makes sense, right? And we've seen this. Let me take another example of another company. You may have heard of them, Intel. Arc. They released their new graphics cards, which is exciting, by the way. Thank you, Intel, because you are doing what nobody else has done. In a market that has been around for so long, this shit is terrifying for you, probably. And I understand. Okay, you're doing a good job so far on the hardware. Nobody expects you to be the best. But Intel did the same thing. They pushed the hardware. They pushed it and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. Hey, our hardware can do this, right? And then they tried pushing software, but they didn't get the software to run first. They didn't get it to a state where it was usable. And I mean usable. Because there's issues with Arc, or there was issues with Arc, where it wouldn't even run your desktop. Because it was so broken. The software behind it was so just botched that the graphics card that you purchased with your own money would not work. Again, free software, making expensive hardware unusable. Who would have heard of it? And they took no time and no care behind creating the software and the run times for their graphics cards, and it turned into a shitstorm for them. They already had it. They already made things for computers. They're giant, right? Intel is a fucking huge company. They made the hardware, and the hardware is great. It does what it says it will do. But they just couldn't hit the mark on what runs the hardware. Play a drinking game. Every time I say technology, hardware, software in this video, take a drink of something. Lemonade, tea, definitely not piss. Don't drink piss. But see where I'm getting at here? This giant long convoluted rant that probably nobody's gonna care about. Where's the software? Why is it not a bigger thing to create good software for good hardware when it comes to VR? You can only take something so far, a product so far in the hardware without having something to back it up, to run it. That being the code behind it that makes it work. But that's exactly what's happening with VR right now. Nobody, at least it feels like, again, the accusation that nobody cares, people probably do care. People definitely do care. There is software being developed for VR right now, and it's good. But it's not happening as fast as the hardware is happening. It's not happening at a rate that it should be. And it's causing people to not want to use it anymore. It's causing its own death because they want to push what the headset can do and not how the headset can run. And that's sad because VR is such a cool thing, right? It will change your life if, for some of you, right? It will make your brain melt with some of the shit that you can do in VR. Sound like a broken record. It is cool. But it's only cool when it works. So, that's the whole point of the video. It can be summed up into one sentence. VR software is not where it should be. TLDR, it's not where it should be. This entire video was unscripted. So if I did ramble on, that's on me, right? I didn't create a script. I'm just saying shit that's on my chest. If you did like the video, though, hey, thank you. You watched up to this point. Thank you so much. I actually do genuinely appreciate it. Because at least it doesn't feel like I'm screaming to the void if somebody, wants to listen to me ramble. But, other than that, I'm Valken. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day. And, get into VR. It's great. It's good. All of that shit. But most importantly, should I say my catchphrase now? Keep living it, right? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for hearing me ramble on about random bullshit. And as always, keep living it. Love you all. Fuck me, I'm not good at goodbyes.